I bought the same perfume from three different places: a discounter, a department store, and an online giant to settle one question that has been quietly costing women like you real money for years. The bottle was Chanel Coco Mademoiselle, the same name, the same gold capped bottle, the same juice on the label. Three sources. One of them, when I got it home and put my nose to it, was clearly fake, and it was not the one you'd expect. Before I go any further, a quick word, because it matters. Everything I'm about to tell you is my opinion and general information, not medical advice, and a counterfeit can contain ingredients that were never on any label. Fragrance can irritate sensitive skin even when it's genuine, so patch test anything new on the inside of your elbow. And if your skin reacts to a perfume, any perfume, stop wearing it and see a dermatologist. I'm not going to frighten you with words like toxic. I'm going to tell you what I smelled, what I saw, and what's on the public record. Your nose is the final judge. Now, you've spent decades trusting that nose. You know the difference between a room that smells expensive and a room that just cost a lot of money. You can tell, blindfolded, when a fragrance is the real thing and when it's a clever imitation trying very hard to be. I'm Vivienne Marchand, and I've been buying, wearing, and studying perfume since I was a young woman. And I'll tell you something I'm not proud of. I've been fooled by a counterfeit before. Once. Years ago. And once you've been fooled, once you've smelled a fake of a scent you genuinely love, you never quite forget the betrayal of it. That's the thing the industry would rather you not know. They'd rather you didn't understand how different the same bottle can be, depending on where it came from. By the end of this, you'll know which of my three sources won, exactly how to spot a fake yourself before you ever hand over your money, and where to buy the real thing with complete confidence. None of it is complicated. None of it costs you a cent to learn. But first, the one thing the markup counts on, you never quite registering. Because if you miss it, none of the rest of this will land. Here's the thing about a counterfeit perfume. A fake can copy the bottle. It can copy the box. It can copy the gold of the cap and the weight of the glass and the little embossed logo, and a good one can fool your eyes completely across a counter or a phone screen. But there is one thing a fake cannot copy, and it's the thing your nose was built to catch. A real perfume is a three-act composition. The top notes, the bright citrus that greets you in the first 10 minutes, those are the easy part, and a fake can mimic them well enough to make a sale. But then a genuine fragrance moves. It opens into its heart, the roses and the jasmine, and then it settles, over hours, into its base, the patchouli, the warm musk, the vanilla that stays on your skin into the evening, the drydown. That long, slow second and third act is built from expensive, complex materials, and a counterfeiter cannot afford them. So a fake gives you a loud, sweet opening, and then it collapses. It's gone in an hour or two. It never develops, because there's nothing underneath to develop into. That truncated story, the perfume that arrives and then simply quits, is the single most reliable tell there is. You don't need a website to catch it. You need the nose you've already got. And I want to dignify that nose for a moment, because the industry does not. There's a quiet assumption in the way fragrance is marketed that the customer can't really tell the difference, that if the bottle is pretty enough and the name is famous enough, she'll be satisfied. You and I both know that's wrong. A woman who has worn perfume for 40 years has an instrument in her that no app and no laboratory can match. You can walk into a room and know, before anyone speaks, that the scent in the air is the real Shalimar and not a cheap approximation of it. You've smelled the genuine article so many times that the fake registers as a wrong note in a familiar song. That is not vanity. That is expertise earned slowly. The only way real expertise ever is. The whole point of this video is to put that expertise to work, to give you the few small things to check with your eyes, so that by the time you get to the test with your nose, you already half know the answer. Let me tell you where I learned to take this seriously. A few years ago, a fellow collector named Dorothy invited me to look through her cabinet, and Dorothy had a cabinet most of us only dream of, decades of bottles, some discontinued, some genuinely rare. She handed me a bottle of a fragrance I'd worn for years and said, "Tell me what you think of this one." I sprayed it, and I knew within 30 seconds that something was wrong. The opening was right close enough, but the heart never arrived. It just thinned out into a sweet, flat, vaguely chemical nothing. And Dorothy nodded and said, "I bought that one online from a seller I'd never heard of because it was $40 cheaper. I keep it to remind myself what a saving really costs. I've never forgotten that." The cheap one wasn't a bargain. It was a $40 lesson in a beautiful bottle. So when I decided to test this properly, I bought the same fragrance from 3 different kinds of seller, brought all 3 home, and put them side by side. Let me walk you through each one exactly as it happened. Now, a real Chanel Coco Mademoiselle is a specific thing, and you should know what it actually is before we judge any of the 3. It opens with orange, mandarin, and bergamot bright and a little sparkling. The heart is a Turkish rose and jasmine, with mimosa and a touch of ylang ylang. And the base, the part that matters most for our test, is patchouli, white musk, vanilla, vetiver, and tonka bean. That's the warm, slightly powdery drydown that should still be quietly there on your wrist hours later. On the genuine article, the 3-4-ounce bottle of the eau de parfum is $185 at the moment directly from Chanel. Hold that number in your mind. It's going to matter. Bottle number 1 came from a department store counter. I paid full price the $185, and I'll be honest, I winced a little handing it over. The cellophane was tight and clean, heat sealed, no loose corners, no glue you could see. The box was heavy. Real luxury packaging uses thick, high-grade board that feels solid in your hand, and this did. The printing was crisp, sharp, black type, no blurring, the gold foil even and properly aligned. I turned the box over and found the batch code, that little string of letters and numbers. Then I lifted the bottle out and found the matching code embossed into the glass on the underside. On a genuine bottle, that code is etched or stamped right into the glass. You can feel it with your thumbnail. The 2 codes matched. The cap was weighty and clicked on snugly with no wobble. And when I sprayed it, the story unfolded exactly as it should, bright open, rose heart an hour in, and that warm patchouli and musk drydown still there when I went to bed. That was my control. That was the real thing. Bottle number 2 came from an off-price chain, one of those discount stores where the luxury goods are real, but the stock is irregular and the prices are lower than the counter. I want to be very careful here, because this is exactly where most women assume the fake is hiding, the cheap one, the discount one. So let me tell you the truth, because it surprised me too. This one was genuine. Slightly older stock, yes. I checked the batch code on a freshness tool and it had been manufactured a couple of years back, which is perfectly normal for off-price retail and means nothing about authenticity. The cellophane was right, the codes matched between box and bottle, the glass was flawless, and the dry down the part a fake can't fake developed properly, all 3 acts into the evening. It cost me around $120, a genuine bottle at a real saving. Now hold on to that, because this is where the assumption most women make falls apart. Because here's where it gets interesting. The woman the counter loves is the one who believes the price tag is the proof, the one who thinks expensive must mean real and cheap must mean fake. But the woman who trusts her own nose knows it doesn't work that way. Price is not authenticity. A genuine bottle can be discounted, and a fake can be priced at full retail to look convincing. The discount didn't make my second bottle a fake, and as you're about to hear, the full-looking price didn't make my third one real. Bottle number 3 came from a third-party seller on a big online marketplace. Not the platform's own store, a separate seller, listed alongside everything else with a name I didn't recognize and a price that was lower than the counter but not suspiciously so, around $95. Cheap enough to be tempting, expensive enough to seem legitimate. That's the trick, and it's a deliberate one. And I'll be honest with you about something, because I won't pretend I'm above it. That $95 price is exactly the kind of thing that gets me reaching for my purse telling myself I've found a clever little saving. That instinct is precisely what they're counting on. The box arrived, and at first glance it looked right. But I've learned to look past first glances. The cellophane was loose, crinkled at one corner, with a faint smudge of glue where it had been sealed by hand rather than by machine. The box itself was a touch too light, the cardboard with just a little too much give when I pressed it. The printing was the giveaway, though. The font on one line was very slightly heavier than it should have been, and the gold foil of the logo had the faintest blur to its edge, as if it had been printed one generation removed from the original. I turned it over. The batch code on the box did not match the code on the bottle. That alone is enough. On a genuine Chanel, those two codes are the same string every time. These were different, and the code on the bottle wasn't embossed into the glass. It was on a little printed label, the ink slightly smeared at the edge. Then I sprayed it. And there it was, the loud, oversweet opening, a little harsh with alcohol, and then nothing. No rose, no jasmine, no patchouli drydown. It thinned out into a flat, synthetic sweetness and was essentially gone inside 90 minutes. The juice itself, when I held it to the light, was a shade too yellow, with the faintest cloudiness the genuine bottle didn't have. Bottle number 3 was the fake, the one that looked, on a screen, the most like a normal purchase. Not the discount one, the online one, from a seller no one could vouch for. Now, I promised you honesty, and here is the part I will not do. I will not tell you that bottle is toxic or that it will harm you, because I don't know what's in it and neither does anyone selling it, and that genuinely is the real concern. A counterfeit is made in an unregulated place, and the people who make it do not disclose their ingredients the way a real house is required to. So a fake can contain things that were never listed on any box, and some of those things can irritate sensitive skin. That's not a disease claim, and I won't dress it up as one. It's a simple, honest reason not to put a mystery liquid from an anonymous seller on your skin without a patch test first. The danger isn't drama. The danger is that you don't know, and not knowing is reason enough. So how do you protect yourself without a chemistry set and without becoming suspicious of every bottle you own? It comes down to a handful of things, and you already understand most of them. First, the price. If a current season designer fragrance is dramatically below the genuine price, and you now know the genuine Coco Mademoiselle is $185 for the large bottle, let that be a question, not a celebration. A modest discount from a real retailer is normal. A price that's too good to be true usually is. Second, the packaging. Tight, machine-sealed cellophane genuine wrap is clear and snug, sealed by a machine, not crinkled and smudged by a hand in a hurry. A heavy, solid box. The real houses use thick, high-grade board, and a flimsy box that bends easily is telling you something. Crisp printing with no blur and no typo, and look closely at the gold foil, because that's where the imitations slip, with an edge that's a fraction soft instead of razor sharp. Then, the bottle itself. Hold the glass to the light. A genuine luxury bottle is thick and flawless. A counterfeit will often show a faint seam, a little bubble in the glass, or a base that isn't quite even, and the cap should be weighty and fit snugly, with no wobble and no rattle. Third, and this is the one most women never think to do, check that the batch code on the box matches the batch code on the bottle, and run that code through a free freshness checker online. The checker won't prove authenticity on its own, but it will tell you the manufacture date, and a code that doesn't decode at all or doesn't match between box and bottle is a serious red flag. Fourth, and most important, your nose. Wear it for a few hours. If it arrives loud and then quits, if the dry down never comes, trust what you're smelling. A fake cannot perform the second and third acts. It simply doesn't have them. And then, the simplest protection of all, where you buy. Buy from the brand directly, or from a department store, or from a retailer the brand actually authorizes. If you're buying online, buy from the platform's own store rather than an unknown third-party seller listed alongside it. There's a public record on this that's worth knowing, and I'm not exaggerating it. A government study a few years ago bought brand name goods from third-party sellers on the major online marketplaces and found that around 43% of them came back counterfeit. Not perfume, specifically cosmetics and other goods, but the lesson carries. When you don't know who's actually shipping the box, you don't know what's in it. That's not fear. That's just the arithmetic of buying from a stranger. I'd like to build a real record of this, because the information online is scattered, and the sellers certainly aren't going to be honest about it. So tell me in the comments, have you ever been sold a fake perfume? How did you find out? Was it the drydown that gave it away, or the cellophane, or the price, or a code that didn't match? Tell me what you bought and where, and how you knew. I want to build a real record from real women, so the next woman who finds this video knows exactly what to look for before she hands over her money. Next time, I want to show you something quieter and stranger than a counterfeit. Not a fake of a famous perfume, a genuine bottle of a classic you've worn for 30 years that no longer smells the way it used to because they changed it, a little at a time, and never sent you a letter. I'll tell you which ones and why. You're going to want to hear that one. Until next time, let the counter keep its secrets. You've spent a lifetime training that knows of yours, and what you wear should reflect you, not someone else's marketing budget.